Namaskaram. Hope everyone is keeping safe and well. My name is Aparna, and on behalf of SIFA, I would like to welcome you in this continuation of our series with prominent artists across the world. Today, we bring to you the extremely talented Srimati Aishwarya Srinivas. I will now pass over to Abhi and Varsha, who will tell you a bit about our guest.
Proficient in Carnatic vocal after training for over 12 years under Sangeeta Kalanidhi Srimati D.K. Pattammal and Sangeeta Kalacharya Srimati Sulochana Pattabhiraman, and later under Sangeeta Kalanidhi Sri R.K. Srikantan and Sangeeta Kalacharya Sri P.S. Narayanasamy. She's being mentored by Vidwan Sri R.K. Sri Ramkumar.
She has received numerous awards in Carnatic vocal, such as the prestigious Yuva Purandara Award, the C.V.N. Rao Award for Excellence by Srimati Sudha Murthy, and the Youth Achievers Award, just to name a few. You can learn about the full list of achievements in the caption.
Today, she will be sharing her expertise in the area of Kalpana Swarams. But before we start, we would love for you, Aishwarya ma'am, to sing us a piece.
Thank you all for inviting me for this wonderful session, and I'm very happy to present this program for SIFA and your members. So I will be singing a composition of Harikeshanali Mudaya Bhagavata in Ragam Hamsadhani. Ganapati Namo Namah Shankari Tanaya Namo Namah 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 Ganapati Namo Namah. Ankushadhar Mangalakar Pankaj Charana Ankushadhar Mangalakar Pankaj Charana Ankushadhar Mangalakar Pankaj Charana Varana Ankushadhar Mangalakar Pankaj Charana
Wow, that was beautiful, ma'am. Thank you so much for presenting this for us today. So now let's get started with our session on Kalpana Swarams. A lot of young musicians just starting Manodharmam just write down and memorize Kalpana Swarams. What advice would you give to the beginners to help them progress from this to making more of these swarams on the spot? Could you please tell us about your experience when starting out with Kalpana Swarams?
Sure. I think for Manodharma Sangeetam, as far as Carnatic music is concerned, Kalpana Swarams are the starting point. So, and you have direct reference on how to go about it from your varishes, your Sarali varishes, Dhatu, Jante varishes. So, as much as you have practiced these, it will show in your Kalpana Swaram when you try to sing. So the first thing is to get this right, your varishes in different ragams, trying to sing the varishes in different ragams, in different speeds, and getting good control over that, both training your voice and your mind to perceive those patterns. The next step, or probably the most important step, would be to listen to a lot of the recordings and live concerts of the past masters. I think, just like when someone has to learn a new language, they have to listen to it, right? That's the best way to learn a language. So even music, I think the best way is to listen to a lot of Manodharma Sangeeta presented by yesteryear masters, and also, on a regular basis, and slowly also put some thought into how the styles of each of these musicians differs in Manodharma Sangeeta. So there are particular patterns that come about in the traditions of Aishwarya Srinivas. There are very specific patterns that come about when you listen to Dr. and Balamurali Krishna. So that kind of sets you thinking about how to go about this. So for a beginner, I think it would make a lot of sense to listen to a lot of these masters and put some thought into how they are singing what they are singing.
So,
And for starters, I think it is good to try free-flowing Kalpana Swarams, and then try to set it into a talam.
generally, when Kalpana Swarams are taught here, we start from Kanaka and Sarvalagu, Korepa, and then Korve. So could you
Okay.
tell us if you follow any specific structure when singing Kalpana Swarams?
So these are not Kalpana Swarams. Kanaka, Korve, Korapad, so these are not part of the Kalpana. Okay? So Kalpana is what you do extempore and what strikes you at that moment in the mood of the song. So these are kind of a fitting finale to all the Kalpana Swarams that you have presented before this. So Kanaka, Kalpana, Korepa, Korve. So these are things that we kind of put some thought into and set before the concert. It may not always be required to do this. The composition that you take up should provide for these kind of exercises. There are some compositions like for that of Muthuswami Dikshithar, where the devotional content is very high. You don't want your presentation to clash with the idea of the composer and the context of the song as a whole. So you don't want to end up putting something too heavy on something that's that's flowing like water, right? So I think that sense of aesthetics also comes into the picture. Of course, there are these other compositions where, which lend themselves to this kind of presentation. For example, my guru, Srimati Vidya Patamal, has presented a spectacular Korepu and Korvai for Darsukovalena. So, in a difficult talam to present a Korepu and a Korvai and to also, present your Laya Vidvat, it's a good thing. But I think it's also important to consider the composition, the devotional content, and also, the gauge of the composition, whether it lends itself to such exercises. So, so you start off with several Laguswaras and then go on, trying to give it a little more classic finish with a Korapu in the front.
Okay, thank you.
So you were talking about these more complex talas. For example, in Ragam, Tanam, Pallavi, it's not always in a conventional tala like Adi, Rupakam. So, or even it might be a Ragamalika. So how would you approach these swarams in that format?
I think for beginners, it's good to, like I said, do the Sarvalagus first, get that right first, and then slowly graduate to the next level, which is Korapu and Kanakas, Purutams, and, Korvais. And then, so when you're really reasonably good at this, you have been performing, enough concerts, you can go on to presenting Pallavis. And I would say presenting Pallavis is probably just an extension of, your own felicity in dealing with this, even in the kritis. So it's just an extension of this. It's nothing new. So if you're good enough at this, you can also present Pallavis in a very creative and imaginative way.
So moving on, so how significant would you say is Raga Bhavam in a Kalpana Swaram? So how would you portray this Bhavam in Swaram, especially when rendering the faster male Kalam Swarams?
So that's very important. It's a very good question. I think irrespective of speed, I think Raga Bhavam is supreme. It's the ultimate thing in Carnatic music, right? So we sing Carnatic music because of Raga Bhavam. We listen to Carnatic music for the Raga Bhavam, right? So it's not just literals or just something that involves mechanical exercise. So even ragas like Mukhari, for example, it's a very emotive raga, and so there's a composition of it's a rare composition of Sri Tyagaraja, but it's kind of medium pace. It's not very slow, right? So you must be able to bring the raga bhava of Mukhari in that tempo, which is something, again, like I said, it comes only by listening to a lot of past masters as to how they have handled it. So this composition is Sarasi Ruhanana Ramaya. It's a rare composition in Mukhari, very beautiful one. And the thing is, ma ba da ba ba ma ba ma gari sa sa ri ma sa ra si ruha ba ma ba da ba ni da ba ma gari sa ri sa ra si ruha ba da sa sa da ri da ni da ba ma ba ni da ba da ma ba gari sa ni da sa ri ma gari sa ri ma ba ni da ma ba ni da sa da ri sa ri ma gari sa da ri sa ri sa da ri ni da ba ma ba da ba ni da ba ma ba ma gari sa sa ra si ruha.
Okay.
So the important phrases of the ragam have to be internalized. Once you internalize the raga bhava, it's like how you start talking sentences after you've learned little words, 2-letter words, 3-letter words. So you just start talking because you want to express yourself, right?
Yeah.
So Kalpana Swaram, if you think of it as a way you want to express your idea of the ragam, right? As you have internalized it. So you go about making these patterns. So in Sarvalagu, so I would say Sarvalagu is a pattern by itself, like Fibonacci series or something like that, right? It's not the pattern is not very evident, when you look at it in a very simple way. But I would say it's like the flow of the water, right? It's got this natural flow to it, which takes you through the rhythmic cycle of the talam, and within the talam, the 32 aksharas or the 64, you try to come up with these little combinations of 3s, 5s, 7s in no particular pattern though. And then when you have so that also involves mathematics. And when you also do the Kanaka and Korvais. I think it's a lot of mathematics, and it is good to have a good idea of the rhythmic side of things from looking at how. So that's another thing. You should also listen to the Taniyavartanams
Yeah.
very intently. So that's when you grasp the patterns, and your own intelligibility of the rhythmic patterns that they are presenting improves when you listen to Taniyavartanams, especially the great masters. So they have, it's not just beats, it's math.
How would a Kalpana Swaram differ depending on the kriti that it's for?
So yeah, like I said, you need to know the quintessential phrases that make up the raga. The Bhairavi or Mukhari or Todi or even Kalyani. So
Yeah.
of course, the point is not to look at them as scales with Arohanam, Avarohanam, but to look at them as you're more than just your name, right?
Yeah.
Aparna, but there's so much more to your personality. What you like, what you don't, how you smile, what makes you happy, what doesn't, all those things, right? So just like that, a raga, the scale is just one identification factor. So there's more to a raga, and it's the essential phrases that make up a raga. Because you have umpteen ragas which have the same arohanam, avarohanam, alright, and same swarasthanams also.
Yeah.
Then how do you differentiate? So it's basically to internalize the important phrases and the gamakams and the microtones and the connections between the swarasthanas that really makes up the raga.
Yeah.
The different shades of of the color of what can bring together the mood that is most appropriate for that raga.
I see.
So, for example, you have you have kritis where it's more like you have Pushpa Latika, Ikanainana. It's kind of similar to Manirango. Okay, which again is associated with a lot of other ragas. But when you sing Kalpana Swaram for this kriti, for example, you should kind of stick to what imagery the particular raga provides, right? Not kind of okay, so the swaras are the same as Manirango, so let me
Yeah.
So yeah, you have to approach each raga with this mindset, right? To get to know the raga and the phrases that make the raga.
I see.
And wrapping up this question answer session, it seems fitting to ask about how you wrap up a Kalpana Swara. So I'm sure we would all love to know how you construct a chord base. So for example, if you take a simple Adi or Rupakatalan on Samam, what would be your thought process in creating a chord base? How would you explain this to a student who is just starting Manodharma?
So someone who's just starting Manodharma, I would say Carnatic music rhythmic exercises center around 3s, 5s and 7s. So you have 3 3s or 3 5s or 3 7s. And for example, when you start off with Aditaram, so that 3 5s kind of brings you to the Sama. So that is a simple chord where you can fit to any kriti with that kind of a structure. But slowly you move on to setting patterns which involve 3 and a 2 gap, again a 3, a 2 gap and a 3, or slightly more complex purutams, or so depending on the starting line of your edipa, you also take the rhythmic structure of that edipa and put it in the chord. So you use that as an inspiration to frame your chord. So you can do that, or you can so one thing is that you don't want to sound too far-fetched, right? You want to maintain the mood of the song. So, rhythmic exercises never stand alone apart from, the mood of the composition itself. It's all part of this composition, right? So, it's good to take inspiration from the edipa of the kriti which you're singing. And so that way you would be able to, come up with purutams in the first half where you're singing Kalpana Swarams, and then slowly build that up to make a korvai which suits the mood of the song.
Thanks, ma'am.
So that's very interesting. So Carnatic music, I think, just by listening to all these masters, you can quickly realize that there is no limit to the possibilities that Carnatic music offers us, in spite of all the very definitive classifications and raga phrasings. I think there is just endless possibility to how one can perceive and come up with new innovative korvais and presentations in the Kalpana Swaram segment alone. There's you can never just exhaust it. There is so much to do in each of those spheres.
So, just before we finish, we would love for you to say a few words of advice for the young musicians out there listening to this. And kindly, could you please perform a final song for us, ma'am?
For young musicians, just like anything else, I think if you have the passion for it, you're not thinking whether you're working hard or how many hours you have to put into it or anything like that, right? You just do all that you can. You put in your heart and soul into what you do, right? So I think if you have the passion for it and ready to be taken by it, right? So you want to spend as much time as you can in it rather than coming up with excuses as to why you want to skip practice today. Right? And
Yeah.
I would say from my side, I think even timing practice is kind of not a good idea because you're more looking at the time than focusing on what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes to perceive an idea and to get and to execute it and to polish it and bring it to a good shape, it takes a couple of hours, right? You can't
Yeah.
just work by time. And so that's important to keep in mind, and also to remember the great work done by our past masters. So at least for Carnatic music, I think we are lucky to have all these very distinct and very grand styles of music where we can take the good from all of them, and it's important to know how you can make it your own, right? And the more you listen to, so you don't need to sing exactly how they do it, right? It's not imitation. But the more you listen, you kind of internalize, and when you sing, it shows. So in its own way, right? So that's how the process works. So just keep at it, and it's a beautiful art, and it's something that will keep you inspired and motivated all your life. செய்யும் யசோதா எங்கும் நிறை பரபிரம்மம் அம்மா என்றழைக்க என்னதமும் செய்யும் யசோதா என்னதமும் செய்யும் பிரம்மனும் இந்திரனும் மனதில் பொறாமை கொள்ள 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 உடனே கட்டி தாய் போட்டே கண்ணனை உடனே கட்டி வாய் போட்டே எஞ்ச வைத்தாய் கண்ணனை உடனே கட்டி வாய் போட்டே எஞ்ச வைத்தாய் தாயே என்ன தவம் செய்யும் யசோதா எங்கும் நிறை பரபிரம்மம் அம்மா என்றழைக்க என்ன தவம் செய்யும் யசோதா என்ன தவம் செய்யும் சலகாதிய தவ யோகம் செய்து சலகாதிய தவ யோகம் செய்து வருந்தி சாதித்ததை புனிதமாதே எதிரு பெற என்ன தவம் செய்யும் வருந்தி சாதித்ததை புனிதமாதே எதிரு பெற என்ன தவம் செய்யும் யசோதா என்னும் நிறை பரபிரம்மம் அம்மா என்றழைக்க என்ன தவம் செய்யும் என்ன தவம் செய்யும் என்ன தவம் செய்யும் யசோதா
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. That was beautiful. We'd like to say thank you for your time and words today. I'm sure everyone has learned a lot from this session. And we also gather that your birthday is coming up in a few days. And on behalf of SIFA, I'd like to wish you a very happy advanced birthday.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet of you.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha. Thank you, Aparna. And thank you, Abhilashi.